Let this be a reminder to you all that this organization will not tolerate failure.
The side of the federal building has been blown off, Jesse.
They believe they were part of a CIA project called MK Ultra.
Just like a segment of society that is not living in reality.
In a certain sense, we're kind of a little bit more Israel's vassal state.
There are police chiefs facilitating prostitution networks.
Do you understand? It's all in your head. It's your move.
Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Dump. I'm Jose Galison. I'm joined by Austin Picard of the Underclass podcast. I'm on the No Way Jose podcast. You guys know the deal. This streams out to both of our podcasts, both of our video platforms at the very least. The RSS and Rumble are finicky depending on who's hosting, but here we are. So it's a dual production today since we're both here. So it should be. It's up on all the platforms today. So easy peasy. Good morning, everyone. We have a ton to talk to you guys about. A ton. This is going to be a very foreign policy heavy day. It happened. Shit's popping off. All the stuff that we've been for weeks now, we've been monitoring the ins and outs of then this guy said this and then this guy said that, and we're like, well, we think this might happen, but I don't know. We really hope the thing that we didn't want to happen has happened, and on multiple fronts, really. But the real big thing happened too as well. So I know a lot of it kind of got overshadowed. So I actually think a lot of you guys might not even be we're really tapped in. We're really. I don't know what's the word, terminally on the internet or whatever. I almost missed the Gaza stuff re-kicking off. So because of all the other craziness, but I think that's it ties into it all. I mean, I think the timing makes sense, and I really think we're just seeing a very large production of Masonic theater here right now. Basically, is what's going on here, because this is all just feels like a lot of shit that we'll get into it, especially the leading story. It's just kind of how it's we've already experienced with the Epstein thing of here's this thing, look at this cool thing we're going to do. And then meanwhile, they're fucking slipping their finger in your booty hole. You know what I mean? They're getting ready to fuck you. They're priming you.
Don't worry, Jose, because this afternoon we're going to get 80,000 unredacted JFK files. Every last one of them, brother.
Dude, he's real so fucked.
Yeah. The most transparent administration in history is at it again. So, honestly, it feels like we've been here before very recently.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But, yeah, man, one thing before we get into the content, I saw this post yesterday, and I wondered, we should definitely probe into this at some point since we pulled up the Doge tracker that a few episodes back. And I found it interesting because this whole illusion, again, it's just in the same vein of the false transparency, you see this kind of this misconception being leveraged against the public as far as these spending cuts, right? And what Doge is actually participating in, what they're actually accomplishing and achieving but it's interesting to me because it seems like, according to Axios, Trump's first month in office showed a federal spending of $603 billion in February, $36 billion higher than last February, which is just this is par for the course in regard to every single presidential administration. They always outspend the previous. It doesn't matter which side of the political spectrum that they fall.
Yeah.
So it's just very interesting to me. We should point that out.
The only counterpoint really anyone could make is that the counterfactual would be worse. And it's for one, it's unprovable. but it's also like I don't even know if I buy that. I honestly don't know. People always say that, and then it's like we've talked about this before multiple times before this election even happened. The way the dynamic of electoral politics works, and when you have, let's say you have a Democrat in office, and then let's say, especially if we did it, let's say because we kind of, I think had sort of a red wave. Let's say somehow that dumb black bitch somehow pulled it off. Let's say and she had all Republicans running basically everything else. It's like, I honestly think we'd be in a way better position if you really think about it. Like you have primed, you have the Democrats, and then they've already established themselves in all these negative positions. A lot of the stuff that Trump's already kind of sliding back into a similar position, and so you have them already there, and then you have a natural opposition party that's essentially taking over. In reality, is kind of. So you essentially have like a stalemate with that dumb broad at the top. So I think, don't get me wrong, she'd still be doing some awful shit, but like it still wouldn't be great. But like comparatively speaking, I think the difference is that at best negligible, if not even maybe there's an argument to be said that maybe it could have been better under Kamala. To be completely frankly honest, I know a lot of people like to like run away from that and we're like, but it's like if you really we have the USAID stuff, but like so that's cool. I guess you sort of kind of cut off some sort of spigot of the deep state, but it's like they're just going to move the chairs around. They're just going to redivert things. It's like. As sad as that, as bummer as that may be, but at the end of the day, we're spending more. So if anything, like, yeah, cool, you got rid of USAID, but like we're spending more. So if you really think about it, even from like a deep state perspective, you're like, okay, well, so there's more money, but you stop that one specific trail of money. So what's not to say that there's not like still money going to these things? Because the idea is that like the money goes to this NGO, then to that NGO, to this and that. It's like, okay, it's really not that crazy that you just have other methods of like you just shut off those spigots, and now you could have even turned up the water more in other spots where you even specifically in relation to like USAID / like deep state type bullshit. You know what I mean? Like
is it a misdirection?
Yeah.
Is it smoke and mirrors? We are kind of restructuring this power paradigm with replacing these NGOs and these specific NGO just non-governmental organizations with our new power players on the world stage, which is typically how it works anyway.
Let's just say, let's look at it this way. I don't know, how long have we been playing this USAID NGO money game? We've talked about this many times. This was since like the 70s, 80s is when kind of around the time that started being more of the template for how the deep state kind of moved.
Honestly. Yeah, it was early 70s, late 60s probably. I should look back at it because they were kind of like, it was when Operation Chaos went into that hyper operational phase, as Mae Russell kind of put it.
But now my point is, the point is like methodologies change. You go from the phone to cell phone, or you go from mail to phone to cell phone to whatever. What's the next iteration? What's the next generation of how they move around Fed funds? I don't know. And my point, kind of what I'm getting at, is if you look at this USAID thing and how we shut down, everyone keeps pointing to like, oh, it's so great. I'm like, how do we know that wasn't just kind of like defunct and like the old way of doing things, and they've got a better way of going about it, and they've just kind of redirected the flow? Like, I don't know. They've been doing it this way for decades. It's not that crazy that they're like, yo, we got to swap things up, and then we can also kind of sell it to the public as like, oh, look, guys, isn't that cool?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly, man. This is just the recipe, right, of the state. It's really the only recipe they know at this point. It's kind of interesting, and that's why they have to continue this turnover when it comes to, I would like, you're witnessing like kind of the crucifixion for public perception purposes only. That's what it seems like. So you see like they will essentially kind of burn an organization or an individual at the stake publicly, to where the vast majority are under this false impression that some accountability was truly achieved, right? Some real transparency actually took place, and in reality that is never really the case. It always seems to be that sort of clandestine framework that is typically recycled of that tactic involving misdirection specifically. And so I think it is perception management. That's what it always falls back to.
They're probably using like crypto or some shit now or something. They probably have some sort of other.
He was a
Yeah,
cutout.
exactly. So there you go. There actually that kind of makes my point right there. And you know what? It even ties even more because we just had SBF on fucking Tucker, and so SBF. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Fucking I didn't even think about it. That would be like the new methodology, like that.
They laundered
Whatever
so
they're doing with
much
that. Yeah.
money through Ukraine by FTX, like it's crazy, and that was just through allegedly. They exposed that because it was directly tied back to the Democratic Party, and so they could kind of play the partisan game. But in reality, this is what they do. This is how they raise funds and launder money back into their own pockets. This is the name of the game, So it's not only like yesterday or the day before we discussed war as a racket, man. What's up?
Good morning, Sloppy Toppy.
That's
I'm a big fan of Sloppy Toppy. You seem great. You're my favorite.
For real. That is hilarious.
Glad you're here.
Definitely.
Yeah,
But
I love your name.
It is hilarious. But I think that this notion of government transparency, the misnomer that's being kind of levied against the public, considering this government spending. You see this messaging coming from Elon Musk and the Doge members, right? And it's just like, to me, it's very, very much a manipulation in my mind. And it's again what I said from the very moment I heard Elon suggest this in the spaces with Trump before the election took place. He suggested, remember, we talked about it the next day. He said Department of Government Efficiency, and he legitimately told Trump, oh, and by the way, I would be perfectly willing to serve as the head of that organization. I'm like, yeah, motherfucker, so you can pick the winners and losers of the future economy and for the next 4 years. Like, what do you think is happening?
Austin, what are you talking about? He's a trillionaire. He runs so many businesses. I don't think you understand what a big deal it is for him to come down and step down from his perch and to take over this. This is a completely selfless act. He has nothing to gain from it whatsoever. I mean, I don't understand. I don't get, this is, I can't even say when people do that because it's like this weird hero worship. Like, how are you really, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, sure, you could say that, like, I don't know, whatever. Let's get to the fucking story.
Yeah, sounds good, dude. I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good.
I had to bring it up.
You're good. No, it was a good little discussion. Then I was about to go way down deep, and I was like, you know what? Let's pull it back. Let's get into some content because, Honey, Wake Up, new Masonic Theater Goy Slop just dropped. The white hats are finally gonna get the black hats. This is my commentary on Donald Trump's True Social post recently. We've alluded to it already. I'll go ahead and read it real quick. The pardons that Sleepy Joe Biden gave to the Unselect Committee of political thugs and many others are hereby declared void, vacant, and of no further force or effect. All right, I can't do that, seriously. Because of the fact that they were done by AutoPen. So to recap that, in case you got distracted like I did by my own stupid voice, he's declared in that little sentence the pardons that Biden gave as void. Now I'll keep going. Because of the fact that they were done by AutoPen. In other words, Joe Biden did not sign them, but more importantly, he did not know anything about them. The necessary pardoning documents were not explained to, approved by Biden. He knew nothing about them, and the people that did may have committed a crime. Therefore, those on the Unselect Committee who destroyed and deleted all evidence obtained during their 2-year witch hunt of me and many other innocent people should fully understand that they are subject to investigation at the highest level. The fact is they were probably responsible for the Democrats that were signed on their behalf without their knowledge and consent of the worst president in the history of our country, Crooked Joe Biden. So yeah, that's that. But yeah, guys, we're gonna, Fauci for prison, dude. We're gonna get Fauci, dog. Like, you see, like, you guys, I don't know if you guys see this, but like, these are void now. So we're clearly going to be going after the former administration and the people who committed all these awful crimes and did us so dirty.
If anything, they will just have him kind of ride off in the sunset with some sort of, I don't know, some sort of very beneficial retirement plan of some kind where he gets a lump sum of cash over the course of each year for the rest of his days. That's
We
typically
know
how it
it's
happens.
not even going to. It's not even get close to that. We might get some hearings. I don't even think we'll get hearings. To be frank, I don't even think we'll ever get hearings. Like I'm not sure we'll ever hear about Epstein again.
Oh, dude!
Think about
how hilarious is that? I mean, what did they left it at prosecutions dangling and some
just kind of just did the Homer Simpson move into the bushes.
back
thing,
into the bushes. Yeah, 100%. And now they just come right out and have Trump kind of run with the JFK files disclosure now. So.
Yeah, as if the last thing just never happened. That's what's going on here. That's part of why we have all these different stories, and it's like I think it's part of it. We're being thrown so many things at so many different levels that it's like, you you just forget about the last thing, and then you get distracted. They're playing this distraction game where it's like, we're gonna do this, and then you're like, so there are some cool things where we see, like even me and you will see things we're like, oh, that's fucking cool. That's a good. But if you're looking at it in isolation, then you're like, okay, you can get lost in the sauce. But if you look at the bigger picture, you're like, oh fuck, not looking good.
Exactly.
That's kind of it's just distraction tactics,
Exactly. That's a part of the goal. You kind of flood the landscape, and really most people, they really focus on the headlines anyway. They don't really focus on the substance. So it's along the same lines as.
Sorry, I got a great example of that.
Yeah,
Literally yesterday, my wife asked me, and she goes, "So did they arrest any of those J6 guys?" Like, are you fucking kidding me? Is what I told her. Like, I know my wife's not like completely like a normie when it comes to that sort of stuff, but that's fine. Whatever. I don't care. If anything, I prefer it. I say that all the time, but I don't like to talk to my family about politics. Like, why would I? That's for like friends. It's a different thing. But I was just astounded. Like, that's where some people are. And my wife's not stupid. She's not a dumb person. She's a very, very smart person. She just doesn't give a shit about politics.
Right.
So,
And it's crazy. It's how much. I have like half of my family basically still believe Russiagate was a real, narrative.
well, luckily my wife's kind of somewhat based with like her assumptions. She just doesn't look in any of it and doesn't care.
Yeah, that's hey, that's a good one, honestly.
I think it's because we're married, so she somewhat sort of defaults to my. It's depending on some things, not so much, but like for the most part, just kind of defaults to my position, and but then like a low information version of my position.
Yeah, that's basically the same dynamic I have with my wife, honestly.
Which is like whatever.
It works. Yeah, it works. But I think that this is very interesting though. The Fauci's pardon, only because I think it's more along the same lines of like a potential political victory of some kind that they could point to in a partisan lens. Where people could interpret it as, again, he's following through with some sort of campaign promise. So even if this is all we get, this headline right here, right?
I was actually just thinking about this. Is actually could also be interpreted as a bad thing if you really think about it.
Yeah.
Like
right.
I don't know if you remember.
Remember?
Huh?
Just recently we talked about when Rogan had mentioned. Remember I brought it up. That segment, I think he was with Woody Harrelson, and they talked about Fauci for a second, and he mentioned his pardon, and how basically the pardon didn't. It made it to where he would.
I was wondering if you're on the same page. You were on the same. Like, he'd be able to testify. Because the idea is it sits before this theoretically. I mean, obviously legally nothing really changed here, but this is kind of a signal out to the world almost of like, hey. This you could almost interpret this as like as the establishment saying to other players in the other actors in this Masonic theater to be like, you better remember to shut the fuck up, like because you remember because as you were just getting at, like the idea that they're able to testify, like currently, I mean, actually technically even now, because nothing legally really changed, theoretically Fauci, all these people, like they could just say to the world what they did. Scot-free, no problem, like whatever. They could just say it, and they would be legally compelled to if they were ever brought into court, because they wouldn't be able to use the plead the fifth because of the fact that it wouldn't be implicating themselves because there's no crime because they're covered, so they have to. The crime would be perjury if they didn't.
Exactly. And a Rand or a Thomas Massey, dude. I think they're dead serious when it comes down to Fauci, as far as potentially like, attempting to hold him accountable to some degree. Whether that
I don't know. Now I'm thinking like I'm almost convincing myself that this is like a warning, because it's like you might be right, but I think it will be like once somebody speaks out of turn. Because I don't remember like Leanna Wen. You know how Leanna Wen's going around making the rounds saying like kind of like backing off and be like, well, I don't know if you guys know this, but actually you can't fuck with your periods. Like, shit like that. And you're like, whoa. So like other people in similar positions like her doing similar things, it could be a narrative control thing. Like, yo, dude, you should shut the fuck up before you say something you shouldn't say.
And the reason that I said Rand and Massey wasn't to disagree. I was agreeing. I was thinking that they view them as a potential threat and actually unmasking the crux.
Oh, like they could force them into Congress in some way, shape, or form or something.
And have some real televised moment that would become a smoking gun to some degree. But that would make sense why they would take this measure, kind of in that direction, just to kind of insulate themselves from any sort of accountability taking place in regard to
that's kind of genius now I think about it, because if you do have if you do have full spectrum dominance and this is how you're playing it, that's pretty fucking smart. Because you take your fucking dud that everyone's already kind of accepted as corrupt and senile and whatever, and you throw all these things on his head, and then you do these blanket and if they normalize this blanket pardon things, because I wouldn't be surprised if Trump does this on his way out. As much shit as he talks, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if he does similar things, especially if there's some sort of talk about if it gets really like bipartisan, or not, what's the word, like really heated between the two sides, which like tend to. Like if there's some sort of whoever the next person is, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if they do, if he puts it as like, oh, they're totally going to go after me, so I'm pardoning, blah blah blah, and then now you have the same thing where the next person can come in and do some bullshit like this, make some sort of statement and be like, well, that was bullshit and we're going to prosecute you, and then but it's really this implicated like, but if you speak up, that's when you'll get prosecuted. So I don't know, that's kind of interesting. But yeah, obviously I think at the end of the day, it's kind of a nothing burger. I don't really think anything will happen unless, as I think about it more, fleshing it out, unless somebody speaks out of turn. And I think maybe at that point, then it would be like, oh, okay, you spoke out of turn. This is you said X, Y, and Z. This is void, so we're going to prosecute now. So I could see that being a thing. Now, would that prosecution go through? I think it would probably get thrown out in the court, but it's one of those things that's enough of a deterrent that you would probably just be like, why would anyone even do that in the first place? Right. So,
yeah. This is. I'm reading Times of India, indiatimes.com. They had.
Why would you do that to yourself?
I know. But it is an interesting.
Fuck you, you bloody guy.
But it's very interesting because it says, what will happen to Dr. Fauci's pardon as Trump calls Biden's last-minute clemency orders void? And it kind of, it basically just outlines what you were saying about this. What I found it hilarious that Trump questioned whether Biden was even aware of what he was signing.
I mean, it is hilarious. So there's like a part. I understand why people are like, "Oh, this is cool," because it is like, and a lot of people are like, I love that they're bringing attention to this, and to some extent, I sort of, but it's just like, considering everything else going on, and that I know where this is going to go, and nothing's really going to. It just feels like this is a distraction, and you're just trying to, with everything kicking off, you're just trying to throw some hopium out to the masses, knowing nothing's going to come of it. I mean. I don't know. It's just classic Trump talking shit. I mean, it's cool in the sense of him talking shit, but nothing's going to come of it. So, and I think the talking shit is essentially a hopium. So we're like, oh shit, like, oh, we're gonna go. Trump's gonna go do that. And then most people, as like kind of we're getting at with like my wife and stuff, like I think a lot of people do just see, even people that are just casually interested in politics will see the headlines or what's going on, and then later they come back and like, wait, did that happen already? Because like. I bet you, if I talk to some people, they're probably, I'd say, I don't know, I'm trying to make up a figure, but I bet you a bunch of people probably think the JFK files may have already dropped. A bunch of people probably think the Epstein files dropped. They just didn't look into them. They're probably just like, oh, that's cool. And that's about it. Like, there's all these different things that they said they were going to do. They drag their feet on there. I bet you there's a lot of people out there like, oh, I bet you they already did that. That's because that's how people work. They see the headline. They don't know that it's like, oh, well, this can happen, that can happen, blah, blah. They don't pay attention. So
No,
yeah.
they play that same exact game that you tweeted about, the black hat, white hat, vulnerability,
Mhm.
naive version of reality. They essentially only react. It's as if they take victory in just seeing the visceral reaction emotionally of their political opponents to the current administration, right? It's like it's the very same. It's like owning the libs is a victory. So that alone is really a part of what far more people than you, I think we'd be willing to admit. They kind of vote for those reasons alone. You know that it's that kind of that tribe mentality. But I'm seeing it personally, man. Like just the fallout post-election, the same exact people who were placated for the past 4 years. Oh man, just because they feel as if it's their duty to resist Trump. They believe that they are a part of some real resistance, man, as if they are fighting against tyranny and a potential dictator and Nazi. Like it is so insane to see like this emotional overreaction
Yep.
and childish version of how power is structured. And,
Oh
and then
God,
just-
Dave had the greatest rant, and I know it's gay to be like point to another show, but but Dave Smith, like great rant the other day. He went on about like how your exact point you're making right there about how like the side, he's Hitler, he's this, he's that, but it's like, but you know what? When you hear crickets from those type of people, when shit like what happened yesterday happened, do you hear the Hitler? Do you hear that? No, it's when he does mean things.
yes,
Or deports people or this or that or whatever. It's like, but no, when he's literally murdering children. No, that's when we don't get he's authoritarian, he's Hitler, he's this, he's that. That's just how the world works. That's just how, like, it's kind of fucked up way to think of things,
basically cultural Marxism at a certain level, because it's become where hate speech is worse than violence. Like, what the hell are we talking about? You would rather keep us in a proxy war conflict, grinding up Ukrainian children, basically, on the other side of the world, to provoke another major nation state into a conflict directly. What are you attempting to achieve here? What you're crying crocodile tears on behalf of the permanent establishment you don't even recognize. You're claiming the deep state doesn't exist, but then you point at Elon Musk and say unelected bureaucrat. Oh my God, he's running the country. Nobody elected him. Nobody voted for Elon Musk. Like, how can you have these? These things are counterintuitive, man. They make you cannot hold these. It's hypocritical to hold these ideas. Anyway, you already are aware of what I'm saying. It's just it's absolutely absurd that people are falling into the same exact trap over and over again. But anyway,
and speaking of,
yeah.
here you go.
But while we're here, I thought it would be appropriate. We are tomorrow announcing and giving all of the Kennedy files. So people have been waiting for decades for this, and I've instructed my people that are responsible, lots of different people, put together by Tulsi Gabbard, and that's going to be released tomorrow. We have a tremendous amount of paper. You've got a lot of reading. I don't believe we're going to redact anything. I said, just don't redact. You can't redact. But we're going to be releasing the
There's going to be redactions.
JFK files, and that would be tomorrow. Do you have anything else to add to that, Carolyn? So that's a big announcement. They've been waiting for that for decades. Then I said during the campaign I'd do it, and I'm a man of my word. So tomorrow you have the JFK files. What time will they be released? Tomorrow afternoon, okay? I've heard about them. It's going to be very interesting.
That nigga doesn't read.
No, I'm not doing summaries. You'll write your own summaries. It's many pages. Is it 80?
Did he ask me a summary of the JFK files?
Why did no one ask about well, what about the Epstein files?
Yeah.
Not one reporter followed up with that question. I mean, that's hilarious to me.
What do you mean a summary? I'm just still shocked by that fucking question. What kind of question is that? You got a summary? CIA did it. All right, let's go. Like, what? Like, what was that? What you wanted? Like,
Right.
He's not gonna do that.
I bet we might get some like
Yeah.
legitimate
I think you're
evidence,
right.
but I bet it's only going to implicate people who are long dead or something, to that effect.
Or people that are willing to burn. No one of substance really. So like,
No.
yeah. I mean, maybe they might, and even then, it's going to be like at most maybe some sort of Democrat witch hunt, or even like an actual legitimate like Democrat taking down of some sort, or just some sort of old person that no longer really has any political currency they're throwing to the wolves. So yeah, I don't know which, but yeah, I agree with you. That was like going to be my next point, because between all this stuff, I mean, I don't know. I'm not necessarily like hedging any bets on it. I wouldn't put a lot of money on anything really coming out of this, or anything particular. I guess anything. I don't know what word I'm looking for, but anything. I guess not substantive or something. Anything over the top. I don't expect anything too much out of this. I don't expect anyone to really get in trouble. But I also wouldn't be. This is one of the ones I wouldn't be surprised for a lot of the reasons we pointed out earlier, and with all this stuff, and we're about to get into all the crazy shit going on the world stage. This would be at some point you just got to feed somebody something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can't.
Exactly.
I mean,
Especially after what they just did with the Phil Epstein.
I mean, maybe they don't have to. I mean, maybe they don't. Maybe. I mean, maybe this is a test in how much they could do, how much they could fuck us before we. Like, I don't know.
Only people really paying attention are people like us, man. Like honestly, which is a little frustrating when it boils down to it. But that is why, you pick up your phone and you have a conversation with someone. It's always frustrated me. I'll have a conversation with someone that I really care about, and I'm hoping to kind of push them in the proper direction without kind of offending them to any real extent. But still, then I'll have a conversation with them a week later, and it's like we never even had that previous conversation, and they're under some unfortunate spell, right? That they can't seem to break out of. It's a form of mind control, honestly, man. And it is truly a part of the layered ideological subversion tactics that have been, kind of leveraged against us for so long. But
100%.
yeah, when you have the FBI said it had discovered roughly 2,400 records related to the assassination during a search stemming from Trump's executive action ordering files related to the 63 killing to be declassified. The Bureau said the documents, which have been inventoried and digitized, were previously unrecognized as related to the JFK assassination case file. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The FBI in February was.
What's the date? I'm assuming you're reading. I'm assuming you're reading an article right now. What's the date on that? Because I remember something about this from like weeks. Oh, it's from this morning.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
I remember. All right. Okay. Cool.
March 18th. Yeah.
Okay. To be released today. I heard you talking about those pages, and I remember they talked about that I think weeks or maybe even months ago, or they were talking about something about they found these JFK files. So I think that it's probably from them. Sorry, my bad. I thought you were reading an old article. So all right, go ahead.
No worries, dude. But yeah. So the FBI in February was transferring the records to the National Archives and Records Administration to be included in the ongoing declassification process that has been ongoing. The Bureau did not say what the records contain. In his first week in office, Trump signed an executive order that called for the declassification. Yes, we know. Okay, the order gave the Director of National Intelligence and Attorney General 15 days to present a plan to the President for the full and complete release of records. Congress in 1992 enacted, the JFK Assassination Records Collection Act, which required all assassination-related material be kept in a single collection within the National Archives and be publicly released. The law gave federal agencies 25 years to process and disclose the documents, with exceptions. The collection at the National Archives consists of more than 5 million pages of records. So the last statement is the National Archives has over the last 3 decades made material related to Kennedy's assassination available to the public, with the latest batch disclosed in August 2023. The agency said in December 2022 that more than 97% of records in its Kennedy collection are available to the American people. That's interesting. And that's another factor. It's like, man, we already basically can solve the JFK assassination, right?
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, again, it's
I've never looked enough into the Israel connections, but I would say, from my understanding of it, I don't think the connections are as strong as a lot of the people make them out to be. From my understanding, I might be wrong, but kind of what I'm getting at here is that that could be something that would come out, because it's like if there was more that fleshed out that connection, obviously that's not going to come out. But a CIA from like back then, I honestly I don't know. I just feel like the public can handle this point. I think the public, if they're going to do like some sort of mass reveal, I think they can. I mean, they may need to prime their narrative for it and prime like, how we're gonna handle this or whatever. What's our stance? But I think they can handle it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do get some sort of like revelation from the top, in some formal way that CIA did it. So
right, yeah, and you know what? They would prefer we believe that. Rather than we actually trace it back to the true
Israel,
behind, which seemed to be the Jewish mob. You know what I mean? Which was very tied in with, guess what? Alan Dulles and the creation of the CIA post with the implementation of the Gladio networks post World War II and the rat line scenario. That is who's behind JFK's assassination. I mean, that is in my mind. It was domestic Gladio all day long. They just, they found out about the domestic black site training camps. We better greenlight the Cuban exile refugees to go down to Dallas with Howard Hunt so they can assassinate JFK before he leaves Dallas. I mean, honestly, man, at a certain point, when you know the usual suspects who are involved in each of these scandalous events that change the course of history, what does James DiEugenio call his book? Destiny Betrayed. I thought it's the most beautiful title of all time. I mean, not saying that one man in the presidency can change the course of history in any real substantive way, but I swear, man, like Destiny Betrayed, what a beautiful philosophical perspective in regard to just the undermining of it really was the death nail in the dying last gasp of the American dream that was, at least in the minds of the public, that it could legitimately be achieved, But that's my mind.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's get into what all this theater is covering for. Here's Israel restarts large-scale bombing of Gaza, over 400 killed. From Dave DeCamp, this is from basically, I think, like last night. So the Israel military on Tuesday morning began launching large-scale airstrikes on the besieged Gaza Strip, marking the full-scale resumption of Israel's genocidal war. Around 1 p.m. Gaza time, Al Jazeera reported that 404 Palestinians had been killed and 562 had been wounded by Israeli strikes on homes and tents, sheltering displaced Palestinians across the Strip. Pictures and videos from Gaza that have surfaced online show there's a large number of child casualties. Israeli bombardment has returned to Gaza, bringing massacres with it once again. Al Jazeera reporter Hanas al-Sharif wrote on X, "The bodies of children killed in their sheep lay scattered in the aftermath. The massive attack came about 2 weeks after Israel imposed a total blockade on aid and all other goods entering Gaza at the end of the first phase of the ceasefire deal. Israel violated the agreement by imposing the blockade, refusing to engage in negotiations on the second phase, and killing Palestinians throughout the truce." For those who aren't aware, it's like somewhere in the 100 to 200 people that died during that period of time during that were supposedly in a ceasefire. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said in a statement Tuesday morning that he instructed the Israeli military to escalate in Gaza in response to Hamas rejecting U.S. and Israeli terms for an extended temporary ceasefire. Hamas wanted Israel to stick it to the deal it agreed to in January, which would have involved a permanent truce and full Israeli withdrawal. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Israel Katz have instructed the IDF to take strong action against the Hamas terrorist organization in the Gaza Strip, Netanyahu's office said. This follows Hamas's repeated refusal to release our hostages, as well as its rejection of all of the proposals it has received from U.S. Presidential Envoy Steve Witkoff and from the mediators. The statement added that Israel will, from now on, act against Hamas with increasing military strength. The operational plan was presented by the IDF over the weekend and approved by the political leadership. Hamas told Reuters that Israel has chosen to end the ceasefire unilaterally and that Israel's attacks expose the remaining Israeli hostages to an unknown fate. The White House confirmed that President Trump was notified before Israel launched the massive bombing. The Trump administration and the White House were consulted by the Israelis on their attacks in Gaza tonight, said White House Press Secretary Karen Leavitt. Leavitt repeated Trump's threat that all hell would break loose in Gaza. Trump previously threatened that the people of Gaza would be dead if the hostages weren't immediately freed. Since President Trump came into office, he has provided a massive amount of military aid to Israel, approving over $12 billion in arms deals and supplying Israel with 2,000-pound bombs. The Trump administration did not pressure Israel to implement the ceasefire deal reached in January. Now, if I were to apply a Hitler label here, I think I'd be far more on point than damn near any time it's ever used. So.
Yep. Yeah.
Sorry if I want to be very clear. Anyone hear me like kind of sighing through that? That was not like I don't want to be here. That was actually like I'm kind of like it's almost like emotionally draining reading this a little bit. Like I'm not one who tries to get involved and like I don't know. I'm very much like I understand that's over in the other part of the world. Theoretically, doesn't really affect, but it is just sad reading about this many people dying. So yeah,
seen that footage, brother, from just the Yemen's airstrikes. Like that shit starts to eat away at your emotional well-being and state of mind occasionally. So there are moments, I know for myself personally, reading on a daily basis about how these tragic, war crimes are conducted on basically on our taxpayer dollar and on our behalf, essentially. I mean, we're facilitating this, at least the U.S. empire. So that alone, you have to feel some sort of responsibility and duty to at least expose yourself to the reality. Yeah.
What's we bring up all the time? I need to get the quote perfect because they always bring it up. The quote from True Detective is like, "I won't look away again," or whatever the fucking. It's like the same idea. It's like I don't know. It matters, and it's because it's like how they get you is by you not being paid attention. The inattentiveness is how they get away with this. So. And I say this, but at the same time, I don't want everyone to. I say this while also believing people really should either not be involved in politics, like involved in the sense of like even interested. It's like almost like I feel like you should be one extreme or the other. Like you either should not care about it at all or be super duper interested and pay attention. Like I guess that's the kind of way I look at it. So
definitely don't have any real passionate
beliefs that aren't backed up by information.
Exactly. When it comes down to supporting any sort of legislative action or policy position.
Well, the Dunning-Kruger effect, isn't that what it is?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You better have really efficiently, in a disciplined manner, worked through those ideas firsthand because you're running a huge risk. And this is a part of what, man, reading through that X dossier, when I did that Detroit episode back in the day, I swear, brother, that was the moment that it was like already I had been very, very emotionally just like kind of I was kind of backed into that corner as it was just from my exposure to these various scandals and child abuse networks. But reading through that, it broke my heart and shattered my soul in a way, but it also made me realize how grateful I should be, like, my God, what people have endured, some of these victims, man, like it's not up to us to turn our blind eye to right their plight because it affects our emotional well-being. Like, come on.
Especially if you're going to have an opinion on the matter. It's one thing if you don't, if you don't want to have an opinion on the matter. I guess that's you kind of got to the crux of it. That's where it's like almost like if you're going to have an opinion on the matter, you should actually, especially when it involves lives, you should probably like I don't know, maybe have it right. Like if your opinion could contribute to something. I don't know. I'm not saying you're like compelled to, but you'd think you'd feel some sort of moral responsibility to, like, I don't know, be informed on the matter. But Dunning-Kruger effect is such a bitch when it comes to politics, like a ridiculous bitch, because it's like there are so many people who are regular like producers of content or political commentators that just like you can just tell they're just not that knowledgeable. They're just they're good at saying I don't know what's the I'm trying to think of the right words here. The going line, the centrist position, or whatever. The thing that'll be catch eyes or whatever. I'm not saying they're doing it like purposely. I think to some extent that's what people like, is people that are a similar level of informed, maybe a little bit more than them. Yeah. I think sometimes you'll see people like me or you, and they feel like it's unapproachable content because you're like, whoa.
Definitely, man.
Yeah.
But I feel like they perpetuate and facilitate the most appealing narratives, and it's a part of a grift. I feel like I'm not certain how consciously aware all of them are, but if they aren't just kind of subconsciously falling into the grift, who knows? I think people like that exist, but I do think that
one of these days I'm gonna have to take the show through and just show them metrics, just like because I've done this long enough to where like I'm by no means like a metrics wizard or know enough, but I'm pretty good at like finding someone and being able to tell, is this person artificial or what is going on here by looking at their numbers. I don't know if you were on the show recently when we kind of talked about the Chase Geyser thing in relation to swatting and kind of how he blew up, and like I was aware, I'm pretty sure he openly told us on Tower Gang, or it wasn't something he was hiding from, that he like paid for people and stuff. And it's like, you take that and then apply it to, then you could have other people who pay for this, or like you can kind of just look at metrics, and if you're an informed person, you kind of look like, well, what's their YouTube look like? What's their Twitter look like? What's their you kind of look at all the different socials, or different like whatever they're doing. You can kind of be like, oh, this person's artificial. Like for a good example is like we've kind of been arguing this misfit patriot guy. I just dug through his metrics the other day just because I was curious, because it's like there's a lot of like accusations about him being somehow blown up by Israel, because he blew up right after October 7th, and like all of a sudden went from like being like kind of a nobody to like kind of like, whoa. He's like making some fucking headway online. Like he's got like something ridiculous, like 60. But you go to his fucking, you go to look at his YouTube. He has like 26,000 subscribers on YouTube. But then you go see what content does he put out. His content that he puts out, he does a regular live stream. It's probably like not quite like, I think he does like maybe 1 to a few times a week or something. He gets like probably about 50 views.
What?
Yeah.
So. And there's no way that this dude is like,
but you look at his homepage where it doesn't show the live streams, because you know how YouTube is structured. You go look at them, you see old videos that blew up or whatever. So he does have some. So I mean, there is some component of maybe he was like a has-been type deal. But then you look at his social media and you're like, where is this coming from? Are your takes really that interesting? Like you're not doing well on YouTube. People aren't really interested in your takes like that. And wait, like it's not like we do amazing numbers or anything. I'm not like. Yeah. But we do better than that. Yeah. And we have a fraction of his subscriber base. So, so it's like, what's going on here? You're like, there's clearly some sort of artificial something, whether it's like a has-been thing or like, or if it's someone's, Hasbara funded some sort of something or other. I don't know.
Rather than he's actually popular, that's at some point. You know what I mean?
I can't find the real popularity. I struggle to find the real popularity. So I mean, I don't know.
The only way he would be is if it were like he appealed to kind of the boomer con class in a way. I don't know.
Well, not enough to watch his content.
It seems that way.
Yeah, which I get it. I mean, there's a lot of people who have big socials and then they don't have good stream. But it's like. To even add to this, another one of the guys who got swatted, I forget his name, but he was a guy that, this kind of started, for those who aren't aware, if you don't watch Tower Gang, recently we kind of got into a tiff with him. There was a guy that he had on the show, and then when I kind of was digging into his metrics, I noticed, I think they do either a weekly or a semi-monthly or something. He's a regular guest on the show. There was another guy that was on there when we happened to just pop over and we're looking at stream and joking around. Apparently that guy actually, literally the next day, he was one of the guys who was one of those swatted people. He has 300,000 followers on Twitter. And he's a regular guest on on Misfit Patriots, whatever the fuck the channel, makes no difference in his metrics whatsoever. And like, so if you're getting, like, if I got Dave Smith on the show, which we would do numbers, we just would. Like all of my stuff were like these people, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I have stuff that's just, quality content that does really well. But then if you have a huge guest on, you are going to get more views. It's just how that works. I mean, it depends on who it is. And sometimes this is a good way to tell if this person actually has an organic following, is like, oh, what kind of actual, like, who do they bring along to the table? He brought nobody, despite having a 300,000 follower, Twitter account. Nothing. So it's like there is, and add to that guy is one of the swatted people. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that falls too perfectly into that ridiculous narrative. But I don't know, man. That's interesting to me. That makes me really question. We already were questioning how AstroTurf Twitter actually is.
Oh my God, yeah.
I'm not. I wouldn't be surprised.
Think about how many times you get a horror bot that pops on your posts. Yeah, like fucking all the time. So, yeah.
Yeah, it only makes sense that they could at any point, I would imagine, overnight they could create a massive profile and AstroTurf some false support system, and all of a sudden you have an actual natural audience who have been trapped into this kind of digital gulag of some kind that's going to misdirect them with false information.
I don't know though. They got to be careful though, because even though I just gave you that misfit example, and I just feel like to some extent it sort of works in some ways, but like as I just pointed out, they're clearly not too well. All he does is like that like for example, in just like looking at that misfit guy, all he does is get clowned online. He clearly can't get fucking the followers listen to him. Like I've ratioed him once, even though I have a fraction, like my account's like probably a sixth the size of his. And I literally, all I said was like, you're retarded or something. And it was just fucking, I still ratioed him. Like, these are the people we're dealing with. Like, I think the modern consumer, while we're shitting on them, how people don't pay attention. I think the modern consumer there is kind of an elevation of the public consciousness to some extent occurring. And I think that, people are starting to get better at telling if it's horseshit, or even just getting by, like, even if you do see a big, you can fake it till you make it to some extent, but I think there's some component of people can feel like deep down in their like kind of some sort of artificial something, or or it just doesn't appeal to them, because it's just like you're trying to force the concept of appealing, and the only thing you're doing is giving them this like group think dynamic of like, but everyone does, so like you should too. And I think maybe there's a little bit of a breaking of that groupthink to some extent. Obviously, we're a long ways away from there. But are you ready? Let's go ahead and get into the next. These kind of we have multiple, as I said, multiple foreign policy stuff, and they kind of all flow into each other. Which is kind of my point of earlier, kind of like how this is, you have the theater state side of like, ooh, you're getting JFK stuff. Ooh, maybe we'll get some Fauci prosecutions. And it's like, okay, yeah. Well, that's because they're really, really, really hardcore flirting the fucking war, like big time in the Middle East right now, like big time. Am I saying we're going to have a war? No, I don't know. But by God, are they flirting with it? And even then on top of all that, even if they aren't flirting with war, they are literally, what is going on in all of these foreign policy conflicts, for the most part, is we're going to kill some innocent people, and you guys should stop. You should do what we tell you to do. Oh, you're not going to do? We're going to kill more innocent people. Oh, you're not going to do it? We're going to kill more innocent people. Oh, maybe if I kill enough innocent people, you'll do what I say. Like, that's all this is. Okay, let's go. In threat to Hamas, U.S. envoy said, look what happened with the Houthis. On Sunday, White House envoy Steve Witkoff appeared to threaten Hamas with potential U.S. military action, warning the Palestinian group to look at what the U.S. has done against the Houthis in Yemen. And this is Tuesday. This is what did they say? On Sunday. So, okay, Sunday. So, okay, this was before the hostilities picked up. So, but still, because that context would have made it even more dark. The comments came a day after the U.S. launched major airstrikes on Yemen, killing at least 53 people, including women and children. Witkoff made the threat when discussing Hamas's response to his proposal for a temporary Gaza ceasefire deal, which he called unacceptable. I think there's an opportunity for Hamas, but the opportunity is closing fast. What happened with the Houthis yesterday, what happened with our strikes, ought to inform them as to where we stand with regard to terrorism and our tolerance level for terrorist actions, Witkoff told CNN host Jake Tapper. That was not even a veiled threat. That's just a threat. Yeah. Witkoff has previously appeared to suggest the U.S. could take joint military action with Israel against Gaza, although he clarified that he meant Israel would act with U.S. support. Any action really principally comes from the Israelis, he said on March 6th. But you heard the president say yesterday he's giving the Israelis anything they need. So it's the Israelis, but with very, very strong physical and emotional support from the U.S. In his interview with Tapper, I mean, this is 2 days before they picked up the genocide in Gaza. It almost seems like they strategically, all these sort of statements about support is always like before and not after. So it's like you can't directly attribute it to, because they can maybe squirrel out of it somehow later to some extent. Or you can't directly attribute it to that action. This is what it always seems like. In his interview with Tapper, Witkoff discussed the Gaza proposal he put forward that would include a temporary ceasefire that would go until the end of Passover, which is April 20th this year. He did not elaborate on how Hamas's response was unacceptable, but previously suggested the issue is that Hamas wants a permanent ceasefire. Unfortunately, Hamas has chosen to respond to publicly claiming flexibility while privately making demands that are entirely impractical without a permanent ceasefire, which that's horseshit, because these are all demands that they had previously agreed to, all parties involved. So, and that's all that Hamas's point is. I mean, here I am on Hamas's side, and this side, like, so far as like actual diplomacy goes, like they did everything they said they were going to do and everything they were supposed to do. They abided by the agreement, and all they've been asking throughout is for Israel to abide by the agreement that they made, and they have not.
Israel has done is
break it. Yeah,
fire, and exactly. It's ridiculous.
So to say that they're being impractical or they're being inflexible,
anyway. Yeah.
I mean, I guess they are being inflexible, but it's like they've actually not really. They've been beyond flexible if you think about it. So, all right. The original deal that Israel and Hamas agreed to in January was supposed to lead to a permanent ceasefire and Israeli withdrawal at the end of the first phase, but Israel refused to engage in negotiations on the second phase and has imposed a total blockade on aid and all other goods entering Gaza, a war crime supported by the U.S. So I was it just dawned on me. I know we had the Yemen stuff going on, but I don't know why I didn't connect these two, especially since maybe it's because I just kind of like last night late was like, oh shit, they're popping off in Gaza again. Between Gaza and Yemen, we're kicking off both of like two of the worst, like essentially you could call them genocides in like modern, and we're restarting both of them, it almost seems like. I mean, I'm not saying we'll necessarily go full on like we did back before, like with the Saudis and in Yemen. But just even the fact that we're like kicking shit back up there again with that context of like that was a thing that happened before and that made no fucking difference, and yet here we are doing it again.
Right.
And pairing that while picking things back up with Hamas, which is kind of a similar, very extreme similar parallel. Like it's like, oh, It didn't work before. Why do you think it's going to work again? It's just, no, maybe we'll throw some more dead innocent Palestinians or Yemenis people at it, and that'll fix the problem. It hasn't fixed the problem before, but maybe if we throw a few more thousand or tens of thousands or 100,000, maybe we'll get there,
And what they're calling the Houthis targeting shipping lanes, right, is basically they came up with the Red Sea crisis as the terminology they're using to refer to the Houthis targeting these shipping lanes, allegedly, which basically they're only attempting to do so in retaliation to the help plan in Gaza, which have cut off electricity and water and any sort of actual aid that involves food as well. But what's interesting to me was that, did you see Colonel Douglas McGregor?
The Iranian carriers? Yeah.
Dude, yeah. Three U.S. carriers are streaming towards Iran.
We'll get there. We're getting to Iran. We still have more to get to before we get to that shit, dude. Whew, that is where it all culminates to.
Exactly.
Yeah, this feels like was it Gog versus Magog is happening? That's what the whole dialectic of all three, Judeo-Christian, whatever the fuck you want to call them, friggin', Judaism, Islam, Christianity, kind of like the dialectic of those three religions is seeming to kind of culminate in some sort of a big old Masonic theater here. So
the Greater Israel Project is underway.
Yeah.
By the way, Adam, Tom, Bobby, nothing but love, my brother. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, dog.
Oh yeah. Fax machine. Appreciate you, brother. But I thought I saw something else. Oh yeah. The homie. To the shores of Tripoli.
Hell yeah.
But anyway, go ahead, buddy. What else do we have before we...
All right. Then after this, we're getting right into Iran. All right. I just felt like these were all tied in. I mean, especially with stuff going on in Syria and stuff. But here we go. This is from Dave DeCamp again. Man, he's been busy. U.S. and Israel consider expelling Gaza Palestinians to Syria. Now, just a recap. Once again, I know not everyone pays attention to every little bit of this stuff. for those who recall, in Syria, we recently had that, Shara or Farah, it was Jalani, depending what name you pick. Him and his Al-Qaeda constituents took over Syria from Assad. And, so now they have it now. There also was a... Go ahead.
Mass execution. And HTS just recently conducted those mass public executions as well, right? The Alawites and the Christians in the area. So, let's send them to Syria.
Yeah. Well, then also the Israeli took over a large buffer portion. So I haven't read this yet, so I don't know if they're planning on throwing it in the Syrian, we're about to, into the Syrian part of it or the Israel side of Syria, because I think that makes a difference, because if it is the spot they buffered out, man, that is kind of diabolical if you really think about it. So, but all right, let's go ahead. According to a report from CBS News, U.S. and Israel are considering expelling Gaza's Palestinian population to Syria to facilitate the ethnic cleansing of the territory. The report said the U.S. and Israel were also interested in sending Palestinians to Somalia and Sudan, two war-torn nations, which was previously reported. Somalia has denied it was approached by U.S. and Israeli officials, and Sudan hasn't commented. A source told CBS that the Trump administration has attempted to reach out to Syria's interim government, which is led by the al-Qaeda offshoot Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, about the idea of resettling Palestinians in Syria through a third party. A source from the region told CBS that the HTS-led government has been approached, although a Syrian government official denied any knowledge from the proposal about the U.S. and Israel. President Trump has repeatedly called for the permanent removal of Palestinians. All right, I'm just trying. I think that's it, really. Okay, so they've talked to them. That's all we have so far. I just thought maybe they were throwing it in the buffer zone, because that would have been kind of fucking wild. Even then, though, really, either option is kind of interesting if you look at it from a big picture, because the fact they're talking to HTS, or they're talking to, what's his name, Jalani Shara, I always forget his fucking name. If they're talking to him, I mean, he's made multiple... I mean, depending on how you look at it, you can almost look at these guys as Israel's bulldogs. So it's like, it's not that crazy that maybe they go, oh, okay, sure, we'll take some Palestinians. I mean, hell, they could even give them some of their land back. They have a lot of leverage that they could use against them. And even that aside, they very much, when they took over, they seemed to be trying to cozy up to Israel. So I just wouldn't be surprised with this government. And, lo and behold, look, destabilizing Syria seemed to work out to their advantage. Who would have fucking thought?
Yeah, exactly. What great timing for their overall vision of implementing this grand strategy. Like, what the hell? Like, again, it's a product of, you have to be tied in enough to kind of acknowledge and be able to witness these things as they occur, and then you will have more of a conceptual outline of how these conflicts are being conducted, at least at a layered and deeper operational level. But otherwise, what are you going to see, man? I mean, you're just going to fall into some ridiculous kind of very surface level.
See you, screwed up rebellion. Looks like he's leaving. Sorry.
Later on, brother. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm just saying, like, it's you're only going to have some surface level interpretation of the motivations behind the conflicts in the first place. So how are you going to be on the right side of that history? I mean, my God, good luck. But the fog of war is a very real thing, and it's layered around us very often. I would say more often than we're aware of, and that's why I think our ultimate goal should be always to just kind of, again, like I always say, like really cultivate that defense mechanism for yourself, so you don't fall into the propagandistic trap as they fall into your lap. I mean, that's really the goal.
By the way, Mad as a Mott, man, that's a weird name. Gave me $10 on Rumble Rant. Give me a little wine glass emoji. Thank you for the support for the show. Let's get into the big news here. The big news of the day. Yeah. All right. This is from Donald Trump again. It says, "Let nobody be fooled. The hundreds of attacks being made by Houthi, the sinister mobsters and thugs based in Yemen, who are hated by the Yemeni people, all emanate from and are created by Iran. Any further attack or retaliation by the Houthis will be met with great force, and there is no guarantee that the force will stop there. Iran has played the innocent victim of rogue terrorists from which they've lost control, but they haven't lost control. They're dictating every move, giving them the weapons, supplying them with money and highly sophisticated military equipment, and even so-called intelligence. Every shot fired by the Houthis will be looked upon from this point forward as being a shot fired from the weapons and leadership of Iran, and Iran will be held responsible and suffer the consequences, and those consequences will be dire. I will say the beginning of this, it seems like he's framing it as like maybe we'll do some shit, whereas at the end it's like, we're going to do some shit. So it is like a little bit of a confusing message-wise what he's saying here. Does this mean he genuinely, if the Houthis do some shit, if that we will then attack Iran? I don't know. I think this leaves enough wiggle room in here for him to do literally nothing. So, I mean, hopefully this is one of those nothing ever happens moments, but it's not a good sign at all.
Not at all, man. Especially, we just mentioned, the 3 U.S. carriers streaming toward Iran, but I didn't realize that the U.S. forces yesterday, they sank Iran's most sophisticated spy ship, apparently.
Oh shit!
Yeah, so it's happening. The U.S. forces actually sank an Iranian vessel, and so as they're pounding Iran back to Houthi terrorists, of course, for the 3rd straight day, which I imagine.
Do you know if it was a manned vehicle?
So it looks
because that
like,
makes a huge difference.
Let's check this out honestly, because it's very interesting.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and take this tab down if you want to bring that up. If you got something, yeah, you can come with it.
So it says Trump warned them repeatedly, and still the Houthis attacked our ships. In the last 18 months, the Houthis have attacked the U.S. Navy 174 times and attacked commercial shipping 145 times. Game time. This is like a military.
What a fucking faggot.
Yeah, for real. So dramatic night as Saudi sources now claims Iranian intel ship Zagros SIGINT, so signals intelligence, was sunk by U.S. forces at the same time the IDF conducts wide-ranging strikes in Gaza after Israel discovers Hamas was plotting another major October 7 style attack, Jose. Like, my God. Gaza ceasefire officially over, according to, of course, the Prime Minister's office. Reuters also reporting ballistic missile movement at IRGC bases in Iran. There were also reports from Yemen that several senior IRGC members were eliminated in U.S. attacks on Houthi targets. So, now looking
wait, scroll back up. So they're saying that they're implying, or they're thinking that IRGC, which is Iranian Republican Guard something or other, I think, or something like that, or I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's essentially their military. So they're saying they were military. Oh, scroll back up. I'm sorry. To the actual wherever you were a minute ago. Damn it, where you go? So there you go. There were also reports that Yemen that several IRG were limited in the. Okay, well that will fuck. Right. If they're able to confirm that in any way, and that's not just some sort of propaganda being thrown around. That'll be bad. If they literally have actual IRGC members that were in Yemen that were killed in those strikes, and they're able to somehow prove that or bear that out. I mean, they might just run with it without actually proving it, because we've been there a million times. But that's that'll be bad.
Absolutely.
I mean, by the way, I'm once again, I'm not even necessarily saying that it's like they would or actually wouldn't be there. I mean, I kind of am a little bit doubtful that they would actually be there, and it sounds kind of like propaganda to me. But I also wouldn't be astounded if the Iranian Guard was meeting with Yemenis or something at that time or something.
I wouldn't either. I mean, proxy conflicts inherently draw in, the opposition forces. Like, why would Iran not be involved to some degree? We know that they've been involved, at least in an attempt to support, the plight of the Gazans, the Palestinians in Gaza. And so it's like, and by the way, they've also been smuggling weapons to Hamas. It is an effective strategy that they have been, at the very least, there's intelligence that kind of corroborates that has taken place. So it's not as if they're an innocent actor on the world stage, but I mean, they've been provoked at every single level of these conflicts, right? And so it's like, I'm not justifying, any of the. I mean, obviously, you already know military conflicts I'm opposed to in every way philosophically. So, but again, like, at times we should be able to acknowledge, like we did just the other day with that Russian pipeline special forces covert operation. It was like, holy shit, strategically, this is badass. Like, honestly, as much as I don't approve of these military conflicts, it's ethically, it's still
that was some slick shit. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was strategically very interesting.
Man, I want more detail about this sub. Like, what was the reasoning? Because that just seems like, how would you justify shooting an intel? Okay, here we go.
The Houthis terror group are firing missiles at warships in the Red Sea. Explosions can be heard. Okay, the U.S. is currently conducting targeted strikes against the Houthis. Yes, the strikes have targeted the Al-Habashi iron factory, as well as additional areas south of the presidential compound. Al-Misra added. On Tuesday, the terror organization claimed that it had attacked the USS Harry Truman aircraft carrier, as well as several American warships in the Red Sea. Houthi leader Abdul Malik al-Houthi claimed that this forced U.S. warship to flee to the northern region of the Red Sea. The Houthis did not provide proof of the attacks from any time they claimed to strike. That's interesting. Is that's like such an ISIS tactic, right? Like,
it's a lie.
Yeah, like where it's
bullshit.
Take
they're the misfit patriot of geopolitics. Like, they like come in later and you're like, after he just gets demolished in a debate, and you're like, I got you, bitch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it looks like that's basically the level of detail from that article. So,
I know. That's because I'm surprised there's not much. I haven't heard anything about that. That's wild that we would destroy a fucking Iranian spy ship, and I don't even think it said where it was. So it's like, what, under what context? How is this related? How, like, I mean, you would think you would need some sort of precedent. I really hope it's some sort of unmanned something, because that could be really
Saudi
bad.
Forces allegedly that claim that this Iranian intel ship Zagros, Zagros, SIGINT, was sunk by U.S. forces. Did it say where? Hamas was planning? No, it doesn't say where this took place.
Because, that matters. I mean, sure, if they were, it would make sense if they're like, for some reason, were lurking around in that area where Yemeni attacks were happening, because then it'd be like, okay, you could, or Houthi attacks, you could then say they had some part into it, and it would have some plausibility to it, because, like, what the fuck are you doing around here? Like, although I don't have a great concept of geography there, so I don't know to what degree that's close to them, if it would make sense for them to be there. But my point being is, like, if you could give some sort of, if not you specifically, but the royal you, them, could give some sort of explanation. What the fuck? What are you? Why? What was this about? Because that's bizarre. I need more on that.
So it looks like Red Sea showdown.
Okay.
I'm getting a little bit more here. So Iran's ultra secret spy ship sunk by U.S. forces. What happens next? Let's see. The breaking news, first reported by El Yacobi on X early Tuesday, has sent shockwaves across social media.
Which I think if that's who I think it is, I'm pretty sure he's former IDF. So, just keep that in mind. I mean, like, so, because he was, I think he I might be messing up my Jew names, but, like, I'm pretty sure he might have been the one who gave the intel, did the report recently on the Hamas talks about how we were talking to Hamas, and it was also that piece that dropped the info that, like, Israel was aware that it was happening, which very clearly indicated there was espionage occurring in this guy's IDF. So in that context, it gives you an insight of, like, this guy probably knows something. He has some sort of sources probably. So, I mean, he could be, but also on the other side, you should also color any information you get from him with he could be completely bullshitting you, or you could be getting some inside Fed info. You know what I mean? So
you saw how it's being presented as if Hamas are this diabolical threat on the world stage due to these targeted shipping links. So it's completely in the context of kind of romanticizing the U.S. involvement.
Yeah, like I don't know if you read on the show the other day when you covered it, because you covered the Houthi stuff already. There was that Trump social post, and it was in that he was talking like that he was like, So I forgot what it was.
But it looks like this Zagros, the name.
Sorry. It was that one I completely lost. It was that one that he was implying that they were some sort of larger threat to all of us, and it's like, no, not really. But okay, sorry.
Exactly. But so this Iranian spy vessel, a domestically built vessel launched in January 2025, was designed to intercept cyber operations, monitor maritime activities. Dude, it's like the USS Liberty, right? That's like, and bolster Iran's naval presence amid escalating proxy conflicts with the U.S., Israel, and their allies. That's what as the USS Liberty was an intelligence reconnaissance vessel, wasn't
I
it?
think so. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. Yeah, yeah.
So they're off the coast during like the 6-day war or something, and they're
Yeah,
like,
and they were collecting because the
yeah,
implication is they were kind of had the inside scoop of like, oh, the belligerent actor here is actually Israel. And
Israel.
they had
Yeah,
some of the
exactly.
info there. Yeah.
Yep.
So
And then we
yeah,
got that footage of them like saying, "Oh, that's an American flag, man." They're
Yeah.
like, "Bomb it anyway, dude."
Mhm.
Then they send U-boats out to strafe the survivors, and then they swear all the remaining survivors to secrecy, where they can't even tell their own spouses and shit for generations. It's so crazy to me. But anyway, so its alleged sinking coincides, of course, like I mentioned earlier, with Israeli strikes in Gaza. So the implication, of course, is igniting this broader conflict. The Red Sea, a vital global trade route, has been a hotspot since October 2023, when Iran-backed Houthi militants began launching attacks on merchant and naval vessels, prompting a U.S.-led coalition, Operation Prosperity Guardian, to safeguard shipping lanes. This is very interesting, honestly. I had no idea this is happening. So, if verified, the targeting of the Zagros, a $300 million investment showcasing Iran's technological prowess, could be seen as a direct blow to Tehran's military ambitions, potentially triggering a fierce retaliatory response. Oh, shit. So Iranian state media has yet to confirm or deny the reports, but the silence is deafening as the world watches for Tehran's next move. Damn.
Yeah, and we haven't really even heard much about this. That didn't really seem
Haven't
to
heard
make a
shit.
blip on the news. That's
Nope.
wild. Yeah,
I haven't
that's
even seen it on Twitter, man. Like,
Yeah.
I only found it because I looked up the U.S. Carriers streaming to Iran, and then I discovered that there was this spy vessel that was sunk, and I was like, "What the hell?" I started instantly looking into that, and this is kind of the depth of what I found. But
Yeah, it was a submarine, right? Isn't that what they said, or am I missing, or is that
no, it was.
Oh shit! I don't know why I thought it was submarine. Maybe I misheard you at some point, but go ahead.
No, you're good. It's
Yeah.
a $300 million intelligence vessel, so it's not been referred to as a submarine.
Okay, so we don't know specifically because I think submarines sometimes can be what, like they have drone submarines, right? I think they
I
do.
would think so.
I mean, I
Unmanned
don't know, because I'm just I'm hoping that there's no actual casualties here, because that is where you get into. I know we've had situations in the past where like drones or unmanned vehicles get destroyed, and then people go act like they're going to do something, but it's like that's stupid. That's just silly. If you're like if like people aren't dying, it's like, okay, yes, it is like your property is being destroyed, but it's like if we're talking world conflicts, it's like, come on, dude, you lost a tank, move on, or whatever the thing is.
How this is being presented to the public. This seems like Gulf of Tonkin all over again. As far as just the framework of this narrative, they say, stay tuned. As this developing story, we're monitoring Iranian and U.S. responses and uncovering the truth behind the sinking of the Zagros. Will this be the spark that ignites a full-scale Middle East conflict, or a calculated move to curb Iran's naval ambitions? And so it's just a very strange way to kind of present that narrative in the first place. So this could be the moment. And again, like we discussed the other day, you have the Israeli army chief that's newly, newly in charge at this moment, and has just taken his position. He's basically saying that 2025 he's literally said 2025 is the year of war with Iran.
I mean, I hope we can slow it down somehow, because as we talked earlier, last time this came up, we talked about that specific story with that guy about how like he's got new plans and blah blah blah, but then I pointed out like we were reading an anti-war article, and I think in that article it points out that like there's a ton of pushback from domestically, and military members basically being like, no, I will not go. I will not sign, because I don't know the specifics of how that works. I think they're able to, or maybe they have some sort of stay in it. Either way, there's very much a pushback, and I think this might be one of those things that if somehow something can just slow things down, as I kind of said before, I've said many times with this ceasefire, if you just slow down, just keep it in this, like eventually get to a point where you can just kind of, all right, cool, we're good now. Just kind of things settle down, but I don't know. I mean, fuck, dude, this is not.
The escalation is happening.
Yeah, if there was, my point being is just, I think there's a push right now, Israel and U.S. and all these, but I think in reality I don't think they have a ton in the tank, if that makes sense. I think that if it can just slow down somehow, that maybe it just will get to a point where it's just not tenable for them to continue. So at what point that it happens, I don't know. But at the end of the day, we might just be fucked.
I continue to remind myself how far the concept of allowable opinion has been pushed in the wrong direction in regard to this specific conflict, like especially in regard to Israel and Gaza. Like, man, it's not even a blip on the radar of most people at this moment. They're either in denial and they are worshiping their false prophets, either side of the political aisle. Most people are far more concerned with resisting who they view as their political enemy, rather than actually understanding anything in regard to the details of these conflicts and really how they should just resist the state and these evil state actors in general.
I think this might be it right here. So I think it's a ship,
Holy
and this
shit.
is totally a man type of ship. This is from 13 hours ago, because I'm trying to get a grip on like when this happened 13 hours ago, because I'm trying to like, in the context of like what was going on. So it looks like, when they were, attack happened as they were carrying out. So it looks like maybe they were trying to clear out that area or something. I don't know. Hopefully we'll get more information later, because I need some sort of explanation. So it looks like there were probably actual casualties here, if I had to assume.
It would
So
make
that's
sense. It's
not good.
Confirmed on the Iranian side of things. So I think that's the only thing that holding any of this up is, I would imagine they wouldn't confirm this if only for tactical reasons, strategically, unless they wanted to, gain sympathy on the world stage. But even then, it's like, this is in their minds, this is a part of this Red Sea. What do they call it? I said it earlier. The Red Sea crisis. That was
There you
it.
go,
Yeah.
Man,
But anyway,
this is I'm sorry, I'm still lingering on this point, but it's just like, man, that we were already like, oh shit, and then now this is.
this is a serious move in the.
That's
wrong
my
direction.
commentary on this. Is
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, man, like this is not a good move. This is a really slippery slope, man. This is how the actual pivot to an Iranian conflict happens.
Hey, it looks like we drew first blood too. So
Man, unfortunately, I hate to be right when it comes down to some of
I
these
don't know.
things specifically.
I mean,
But-
there's only so far you can push an entity before they're like, we got to respond, because they got to save face.
Exactly.
I mean, they have to respond to anything we do. There's going to be a response.
And
But
remember
now it's
last
like,
time-
now there's blood. So it's like, what? Fuck, what do we do? I mean, although last time Trump administration, he took out fucking, what's his face, the general or whatever, I forget his name, but Soleimani or something? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Soleimani. So he took him out, and then all they did was bomb one of our bases in like a non-manned area, and then
Yeah, and it was
Yeah,
all
so-
pre-planned. Basically,
yeah.
they gave them the heads
go
up.
ahead, basically.
Yeah. Hey, in like 16 hours, we're gonna bomb this specific area that means nothing at all strategically.
Eddie, are you have confirmation to sub? Because I mean, I don't have confirmation this is it either. This is just from one of the breaking reports, and it showed this picture, and so I just feel like the implication is that that's it. I mean, it doesn't say for sure that's it in like the caption or
It looks
anything,
like a
but
naval reconnaissance vessel is what it looks like. I mean,
yeah.
I don't
So I don't know, unless you know, Eddie, if you know something. I mean, hell, I am kind of hoping that I'm right, and it's some sort of unmanned like submarine vehicle, because I feel like I've heard of unmanned submarines. I don't feel like I've heard of like unmanned boats. So
yeah, it's a sub now. It's a sub now.
Oh, I got you. Oh, you silly goose. You're saying it's a sub now. I got it. It's underwater. All right. Well, I guess I don't know how much more we can linger on this story other than, oh, God, that sucks. Oh, no. Oh, God.
No, we really have. No, I think honestly that's about all we have to say on that.
Fuck. I mean, there'll definitely be more news tomorrow.
But, yep, 100%.
But here's this. This is fun. Back into the fun stuff, I guess. Oof, because this is we covered this. What
Hunter Biden?
The Hunter Biden thing we covered this the other day. This is Donald. Says Hunter Biden has had Secret Service protection for an extended period of time, all paid for by the United States taxpayer. There are as many as 18 people in his detail, which is ridiculous. He is currently vacationing in, of all places, South Africa, where the human rights of people has been strenuously questioned. Because of this, South Africa has been taken off of our list of countries receiving economic and financial assistance. Please be advised that, effective immediately, Hunter Biden will no longer receive Secret Service protection. Likewise, Ashley Biden, who has 13 agents, will be taken off the list. Now, I thought this was interesting. Apparently, he had been asked 4 hours prior about if he was aware of the thing. Essentially, here we go. This is a. Okay, so here we go. We say that you have to understand the timeless action to fully understand it. Today at the Kennedy Center, a reporter asked Trump about his Secret Service protection and Hunter's trip to South Africa. That was the first Trump had heard about it. He said he'd look into it, and it was very interesting. And then 4 hours later, he lost his security, his protection.
That is so funny, man.
I mean, don't get me wrong. These are the things that you're like, man, it wins people back, and I get it. You're like, that's okay. That's funny. That's a good move. I mean, he does. I will give it to him. He is, at the very least, of these two options we were given, the dumb black bitch or this one. At least this one is more entertaining.
Very
Entertaining, yeah.
100%, man.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people go, well, might be like, hey, well, at least we're not going to go with World War III because Russia and Ukraine. I was even saying this when, during the election, people would point this out, like, hey, we're going to end it. For one, we haven't yet. We're still working on that. I don't know. I have no idea how this. It looks like it's looking up. I don't know. It may fall apart. It easily could. But even then, so let's just assume that does happen. We still, I've said throughout the whole time that World War III was still peaking out here. So like, and a lot of people are like, oh, well, the people seem to have this idea that for some reason it's more likely to pop out from a Russia conflict than it is from an Israel-Iran conflict. Israel-Iran-USA conflict. I'd say they're both just as likely, if not even possibly debatably more likely with a Iran-US-Israel conflict, right? Do you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Did you see Clint's point earlier? I actually thought it was a pretty good point that he made about
my buddy Clint or somebody in the chat.
Yeah,
because they're not my fucking friends. No, I'm just kidding. I like you guys.
No, but Clint Russell basically was suggesting that it looks like a potential deal is being made behind the scenes. It could be, essentially, it could be calling for Putin to basically allow for these proxy forces in Syria and these specific strategic areas of interest for Israel, as far as this Middle Eastern escalation is concerned, to basically for Putin to give them the green light when it boils down to what they hope to achieve in the area. So basically, I would imagine that a part of that would be Putin would still demand to remain, as far as the military footprint that Russia has with their bases in the areas. I think they would still demand to remain there to some extent. But I think the main crux of it is the fact that they have openly been in defense, right? Like in opposition of these proxy wars and these regime change operations in these specific countries. So it is interesting that it could be a part of some sort of peace deal that, all right, you maintain your foothold in Ukraine, in the area that, right, you strategically demand.
Get a little mineral deal going.
Yeah, exactly. We'll strike a deal.
As I said, almost like a Versailles type thing situation.
Probably green light the flow of natural gas back to Europe to a certain level. Who knows? We'll see. Because I'm sure that Europe, at least like the UK and like various aspects that play into this, just militarily, I think, who knows, they might be kind of left out in the cold a little bit when it comes down to some sort of negotiated deal, if only because it seems like they're consistently moving in the same direction that they intend, right? Like you had mentioned earlier, the UK is sending troops to Ukraine.
It was in the pre-chat, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll probably talk about it tomorrow in the morning dump, assuming we don't have a deluge of crazy stories again.
Yeah, no, sure. But anyway, yeah, it's just I find that to be a good point because it would make a lot of sense that they would have to kind of come to some sort of negotiating outline as far as that is concerned, how they would move forward. But anyway, I don't know. That's the only thing that I could imagine happening in order to wind down that conflict in Ukraine. You know what I'm saying? But beyond that, it would also allow the escalation to continue in regard to this Middle Eastern escalation in
Yeah.
Israel's interests. So
Yeah, it's one
that's
more
a little
thing
bit-
that
well,
even if it is we're kind of like, oh, we're working on peace talk. It's one more big thing that kind of somewhat takes eyes away from that. So, but all right, we have from Rage Child, the homie. He said old article, but resonates a lot more now. This is from the VigilantCitizen.com. This is Ex-Pussycat doll Kaya Jones. The group was a prostitution ring. So we're going to read through this. This is... And I remember this is an old story. This is 7 years ago, October 16th, 2017, by Vigilant Citizen. Singer Kaya Jones, an ex-member of the Pussycat Dolls, claims that members were passed around by music industry executives. Oh, shit, this gets darker. Man, this guy wasn't, fucking Rage Shaw was not kidding. Within the first sentence, Kaya Jones was discovered by R. Kelly.
oh my
There
gosh.
you go. All right, guys, we're done for the
all
day.
you need to know.
That's all we need to know. Like, all right, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Show up 10 a.m. Eastern.
Piss on you. Fucking- right? Like, oh my God.
And she was
I love
signed
that.
with Capitol Records by age 16. If you don't think she was getting... Yeah, she was. Oof. In 2003, I mean, it felt gross even saying that because it's just like, oh god. But that's the dark reality of what's probably happening here. In 2003, she auditioned. I mean, what that audition consisted of, I don't know, and was selected to become part of the girl group, the Pussycat Dolls. Now, I wonder how old she was in 2003, though. The auditioning, because there was no way she was underage. She was a minority still. She then moved to Interscope.
Minority.
Yeah, or not a minority. Did I say minority? Minor. There we go. But she doesn't look like a minority either. But she then moved to Interscope Records and went under the tutelage of music producer Jimmy Iovine.
Oh wow.
Oh, do you know him?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, shit, I don't know anything
yeah,
about him.
Yeah, he Dr. Dre, man. So
It's not
yeah.
Dr. Dre. This is Dr. Dre's real name?
No.
Oh,
Jimmy
like
Iovine,
what? No
like
way.
his
He's
homie.
Jimmy Iovine. This is
No,
Dr. Dre.
like his homie that helped
Okay.
him create Beats by Dre and all the
Okay.
a lot of his business interests run through Jimmy Iovine.
Okay, so direct Dre connection, I guess you could say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Only 2 years later, Jones left the group while it was still recording its debut album, claiming that it was no longer fun to be in the band. In an interview with Yahoo Singapore, Jones said, okay, that's interesting. So she was only 2 years before they even finished her first album. So she really kind of basically left the band before the band was even really the band. But here's what she said. When everyone is not on the same page, it affects the group. So that I think that was the worst part, and I decided to leave. It was not because I wanted to be solo and I didn't want to be in a group anymore. I left because it stopped being enjoyable. It stopped being fun. So it says today, 12 years after quitting the group, Kaya launched a series of explosive tweets explaining why it's no longer fun to be a Pussycat doll. Not only it was no longer fun, it was a nightmare. So I guess before she said, I guess at the time she said, oh, it's just not fun, which is I guess kind of true, but there's a lot more to it. She says on October 12th, Jones began posting tweets about the Hollywood elite, probably in response to the Harvey Weinstein debacle. Here you go. He says, please, Hollywood, start telling the truth, expose the truth. It's time for a new Hollywood. One where art is about original thought, not sex. Fact. I know as many men as I do women who have been abused in the entertainment industry by Hollywood elites. We are numb to it. That's wrong. On October 13th, she posted about being abused, drugged, silenced, and blacklisted. So here's some more tweets. She goes, I hope all you Hollywood elites are a little nervous tonight. Who knows, maybe tomorrow your family and friends will find out who you really are. And she said, tried to silence us, made us stronger. Tried to drug us, but we were wide awake. Tried to blacklist us, but fans followed. We aren't kids anymore. Here's more. The children you messed with that survived the abuse. We are adults now. Are you really old ones to fight? Because all you were looking mighty old. It's kind of interesting. She said children here. Because it's like, especially considering she started in the industry around like 13, it seems like. But wasn't really signed until 16. But she was discovered at 13, which, what does that mean? What's that 3-year period of discovering? What were you doing there?
Yeah.
She then made bombshell declarations about the Pussycat Dolls, claiming that it was first and foremost a prostitution ring. Wow. She even added that she kept a journal and a timeline of events. My truth, I wasn't in a girl group. I was in a prostitution ring. Oh, and we happened to sing and be famous, while everyone who owned us made the money. How bad was it? People asked bad enough that I walked away from my dreams, bandmates, and a $13 million record deal. We knew we were going to be number one. I wonder if any other victims kept a journal like I did. Oh, yes, I kept a journal with timelines. Hey, you want to do me a solid right here, Austin, while I'm reading this? Can you go and check and make sure she's still alive for me?
Yeah, for
Maybe
real.
a quick
dude.
little
What's
Google
her
on
name
Kaya
again?
Jones.
Kaya Jones.
Yeah, Kaya. I told press in Hollywood about my abuse, and they did nothing. I'm still dealing with Vegas. Talk about back-to-back Vegas and Hollywood, man. Here's another. In 2004, I told Hollywood executives. 2005 to 2006, I told press. In 2011, I spoke up again. I hope you can hear me now, media in 2017. Way to go. And here's another one. I love how predators enjoy playing the victim. Pathetic. One cryptic tweet appears to blame the founder of the Pussycat Dolls for the death of the member of the girl group GRL. Ooh, Jesus. I want the den mother from hell to confess why another one of her girl group girls committed suicide. Tell the public how you mentally broke us. Oof. The above tweet is clearly aimed at Robin Anton, the founder of the dolls, calling her the den mother from hell. So this is the founder. So I don't even think she's even was a singer, I don't believe. I mean, honestly, she looks too fucking blown out and old for that to be the case. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Let's look at these chicks. None of those really look like her. I mean, I guess we probably could look up specifically if she actually was. But I'm assuming she was some sort of handler of some sort, essentially, is what it seems like. Anton started her career in the industry as a dancer and choreographer. She then went on to build a Pussycat empire, which isn't something. What is the term they use for is it sex kittens, right? Another term they use for for feds that are that trap you via that. Yep. So I don't know. Seems Pussycat sex kittens. All right. Mm-hmm. In 1995, she founded the modern burlesque troupe, the Pussycat Dolls. By 2005, she diversified into various media, including a pop recording group with international hits, a Las Vegas nightclub venue and floor show, various merchandise, and a reality television series. Since then, she has gone on to create other girl groups, including Girlicious, the Paradiso Girls, and GRL, which I've never heard of any of those. GRL was the most successful group following the Pussycat Dolls and were signed to Lucas Gottwald's Dr. Luke label Kimosabe. On September 25th, 2014, Simone Battle, a member of Girl, was found dead at the age of 25. Cause of death was ruled as suicide by hanging.
Holy shit.
Which seems like an odd way for a woman to do it. I don't feel like you usually see a lot of chicks hanging themselves. A spokesperson for Battle said that she suffered from depression due to financial issues. In her tweet, Jones blames Anton for the death, stating, okay, we already talked about that, that she was implying, why did one of your girl groups commit suicide, blah, blah, blah. Bizarre fact, Anton's Wikipedia bio lists one of her occupations as Hollywood Madame. That's, all right. Madame, M-A-D-A-M-E, yeah, whatever you want to pronounce it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's very interesting because that implicates, straight up confessions.
It's Wikipedia, so it can be changed, but still.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
By the way, Jimmy Iovine was accused of sexual abuse and harassment in 2023.
That's wild.
I know, right? Apparently forcibly touched and subjected to sexual harassment, retaliation, and violation of. Yeah, I don't know. That's very interesting. So, but who knows? A lot of this, it makes all the sense in the world. That's how Hollywood functions, right?
Is she still alive, Austin, by the way?
She is. She's 40. She's still alive.
Okay. All right. The name Hollywood Madam is associated with Heidi Fleiss, who ran a massive escort operation in the 90s. Was Anton's page hacked? In her following tweets, Kaya Jones then explained the mechanics of industry control. To be a part of the team, you must be a team player, meaning sleep with whoever they say. If they don't, they have nothing on you to leverage. And then she goes, yes, I said leverage, meaning after they turn you out or get you hooked on drugs, they use it against you. Correct. Victimizing the victim again. That's why I have so much respect for a military. I've been through war, but my scars you can't see. At least real war is honest. Here's another one. Why don't we report it? Because we were all abused. I personally have been warned if I tell, I will, end up dead or no more career. He goes, well, killing you or killing your soul, what's the difference? You do it for them. A teenager goes to jail for less. Will Hollywood.
Damn.
In the following days, Jones replied to those claims that she was making this up while still going at Robin Anton and Jimmy Iovine. Did anyone thinking I made this up? Why would I want to have a target on my back and claim to have been used in abuse? Not exactly a good look. And then she goes, wow, for a second, I'm not reading that one because whatever. Lawyers are given and appointed to you. If you try to use a different one, it's a deal breaker. End discussion. We're all replaceable. Rob and the record label made all the money. We, as Pussycat Dolls, were paid $500 a week.
Wow.
That's why. Okay. I mean, I guess they hadn't had their debut album yet, so that's like, I don't know. That's $100 a day. That's like basically $10 an hour. That's oof. That's okay. All right. So assuming they do 10-hour days, that's $10 an hour. All right. I finally feel the weight I've held in my heart lifted and mended. It's been hard to hold lies. Okay, that one's stupid. I hope more women and men come out and share their abusive opinion. Okay, but okay, now these are getting kind of gay. Let me see. These are all just like, All right, trying to see. Okay. Reactions. Robin Anton told the Blast on October 15th that Kaya Jones' claims are disgusting, ridiculous lies, adding that she's clearly looking for 15 minutes. She was reportedly surprised that Jones would speak for the Pussycat Dolls, stating that Jones was actually just on a trial and never an official member of the group. Jones was just one of the many girls that auditioned for the group over the years, but ended up washing out and never became a permanent fixture. So I guess the implication here is almost that she's almost seemed to be implying that, she didn't leave. She was essentially not picked. Regarding Jones' tweet about Simone, Anton said of Simone Battle, it is not just nasty, but it's unfathomable and disrespectful to everyone who works towards suicide prevention and awareness. Anton says bringing up a suicide in such a brazen way not only scars the family, but the millions of people that loved and cared for Simone. Sources say that the group's lawyer is drafting a legal letter warning Jones to stop spreading lies. Other members of the group remained mostly silent issue. However, in 2013, Nicole Scherzinger, the lead singer, had some evocative words regarding the industry. This is such a tough industry, To make it, you really have to sell your soul to the devil. Okay. So is Kaya telling the truth, as Anta claims, or looking for 15-minute fames? Well, to be honest, while Kaya's claims are disturbing, I cannot say they are surprising. The group's name is Pussycat Dolls, a name that clearly refers to beta kitten programming. As stated in my original article, Origins and Techniques of Monarch Mind Control. Oh man, this guy's on some shit. Beta programming is all about creating sex slaves to be used by the elite. To achieve his goal, handlers cause slaves to dissociate through drugs, abuse, and trauma. Kaya's tweets describe the specific situation. I wouldn't be surprised if members were pushed into a light version of MK Ultra to achieve these aims. No matter what the case may be, Kaya is spot on about this fact. The music industry needs some cleansing. And that's I think that's the end of the article. So I thought he was about to go into some crazy tangent about Monarch, because I do want to cover Monarch on the show one time, but from my understanding, it's one of those ones that's less substantiated, so it is far more speculative, so people can get pretty nuts with it. So, yeah.
But I saw Kathy O'Brien tweeted about, I think it was Britney Spears, and she just basically, it was a video of her again. You know how all those videos that she does in her house or whatever, wherever she's at,
being a crazy broad,
yeah. But she for sure looked like in this video like she was acting as if she were possessed of, by a demon or something. Like, it was so strange what she was doing with her tongue. She had the knife out again. Her dancing was very weird, and then she did like just a middle finger and flipped off the camera. And Kathy O'Brien was just saying that she basically is claiming, of course, she's one of the most famous individuals who have made the allegations of being kind
Monarch,
of exposed to Operation Monarch, Project Monarch for the mind control, specifically trauma-based mind control. And so she's just saying that MK Ultra, Project Monarch survivors need to heal, right? And so obviously the implication is that Britney Spears suffered from being a victim of Monarch mind control and trauma-based mind control, and that's very obviously why she is kind of a shell of what she ever once was, and also kind of like hemorrhaging psychologically. I think it's only natural if you've never actually, in any sort of healthy approach attempted to deal with what was psychologically done to you. Right, the altars, you see how she's like legitimately a different person in different situations and at different moments, and that perfectly aligns with what happens during Monarch. So, and those specific techniques. But anyway, that's what that reminds me of. It reminds me of it's kind of, I think it's very commonplace in Hollywood, man. What did that intel officer with that Harvey Pasternak or Harley Pasternak who was handling Kanye?
And
Yeah,
also Megan Murphy and her husband
Amanda
around the time
Bynes,
they died.
too.
Yeah, Amanda
Yeah, like
Bynes. Yeah.
bunch of them,
Mhm.
and he has like a background in
Is it
mind control, as far as like specific drugs that are associated with mind control. He has an intelligence background, but he is very interesting. I'll never forget that text that he allegedly sent to Kanye, right? Like, I'll send you back to zombie land. Play dates with the kids will never be the same. And that specifically is like, you have handlers and mind control operators within the context of Hollywood. And what was he? A physical trainer, allegedly they said he was for the stars. And in reality, he has like some very, very obvious as far as just his intelligence connections to his background. I'm trying to remember what it was specifically, because there was
By the way, real quick, while you think on that, I got the name wrong. It's Brittany Murphy, not Megan Murphy. I don't know why I said Megan,
Okay.
but yeah, Brittany Murphy.
There you go.
Yeah.
Brittany Murphy. That dude, I think that, man, what's his name from from Punk'd, that 70s show, Ashton Kutcher.
Ashton, yeah.
Yeah, I think he definitely played a role in what happened to Brittany Murphy. Like, honestly.
Could have. I
It's
mean,
very
they definitely were close. I wouldn't be surprised. There's a weird stuff going on there. He has an ex that died under extremely curious
That's the weird one.
circumstances. He also came out of Abercrombie and Fitch, which was recently exposed as
There you
a
go.
fucking
There you go.
butthole slinging operation.
All you need to know. And that, as well as being associated with the Clinton Foundation and Haiti as well, while
Yep.
he's with Demi Moore, who's
Posing himself as a
Yes.
trafficking or what's the word I'm looking for? Advocate, essentially. Yeah,
exactly,
So, like, I
exactly.
don't know. Kind of the perfect place to put oneself, isn't it? So. But buddy, you ready to get out of here, dude? We're almost at 2 hours. I'm surprised we got through all of this. We got through a lot of stuff. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world today, and I have a strong feeling that we're gonna have a lot to talk about tomorrow. I should be there tomorrow. I don't know if you'll join me or not, but man, yeah. Whew. I mean, I'm surprised we got through all this in less than 2 hours, man. But
I know.
I'm ready to get out of here. I mean, unless you have something pressing, particularly any pressing stories, I think we can bring this bitch in for a landing.
Sounds good, buddy.
Yeah.
I'll cover it, at least tonight when we do Already Dead. Which, by the way,
that's right. We got
everybody
Already Dead.
tune in. We'll definitely have to cover. I looked into Mahmoud Khalil's background, and yeah,
It gets a little weird.
This motherfucker's a spook, some sort of controlled opposition of some kind. It very much seems that way. So,
Oh, great! Now the MAGAs will say this is a deep state war. We're fighting it. That's what's going on here. Yeah, that's what's happening. Yeah,
the AJ narrative.
Yeah.
Man,
No,
if it weren't for those meddling FBI operators that hate Trump.
you see, well, he's an MI6 operator, obviously. So, or no, he's Iranian intelligence. So we had to send him back.
Exactly, dude.
Yeah.
That's
But Austin,
so
let them know where they can find you at. Obviously, me and you will be here tonight on both of our channels on Already Dead. So the No Way Jose, and then also Underclass podcast, whichever one you prefer. You can watch it Already Dead tonight at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Please call in. We like to have call-ins. And also, but go ahead, bud. Let them know where they can find you.
Sounds good, brother. You guys support me at basically patreon.com/the Underclass podcast is the best place to support me. Other than that, just follow me at the Underclass podcast. I'm going to, as I said, I'm workshopping ideas this week. I'm trying to come up with the exact vision I want to approach this upcoming episode with, because I don't want to come out with something more than a 4-hour episode as I did last time, which is a very.
I really think, as I said, I think I told you earlier, you need to find a way, because all three of your stories are very connected. I think you need to make them almost like a series and work on one, and then you kind of find a way to interconnect them while separating them. Agreed. So that's the only thing I can think of. But it's still probably going to be in 6 hours or like all together. So it'll be like I think each one of these segments is probably going to be a 2-hour episode. But with that, guys, if you guys want to support what I'm doing, and also what Austin's doing, make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, all good stuff. That's how you can do it without shipping in a buck at all. It costs you nothing. Leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. Takes no time, helps us out a lot. Also, if you want something like an actual physical product out of your support, I have my sponsor, Nado Shave Co., which, as I tell you guys all the time, I genuinely believe it is superior to those multi-blade cartridges. So You can use Jose at checkout for that. It gives you 10% off. It's also from a company that doesn't hate your guts. It's a COVID mandate refusing company. It is it's better for your skin. A single blade. It is far cheaper. It also gives you a much smoother shave. It's all around just better. It's a cheaper product. It's better. It's from a company that doesn't hate you. It's altogether it's better. It's kind of a no-brainer. So go to noshaveco.com. Use Jose at checkout. But if you just want to support me and you chip in $1, the best way to do it, if monetarily support this show, or at least me specifically, patreon.com/nowayjose2020. The lowest level is $2. That's where you get the early access to the episodes. For example, my false memory syndrome. I keep telling you guys I'm trying to do 2 a week. Just to let you guys know a little bit behind the scenes. I usually try to schedule these around the nights my wife works. She works nights. She's an emergency veterinary technician. She works night shift for those. So she's about to start picking up another shift on a different day. So I'm gonna start doing 2 days. Probably doing. I'm trying to do 2 right now. I'm still at 1. I think it's next week I'll be able to do 2. We'll see. Anyways, just keep an eye out. We're going to start doing 2 behind the paywall per week with probably like 4 altogether. So you guys will be getting quite a value so far as the stuff behind the paywall. It will, and for those who don't want to pay though, that eventually does come out to go public. So you don't have to. But also you can get the ad-free RSS feed there, and then also you can get the video chat function for Already Dead. As I just mentioned, me and Austin have Already Dead tonight at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. That's every Tuesday. And then the second half of the show, we take calls. So if you want to do a video call to where you can be like a talking head like me and Austin are right now, you got to be a sponsor, or you got to be a supporter of me or Austin. How could I not think of that word? And you do that at our Patreons. We drop StreamYard links where you can come on and you can shoot the shit with us. So I always find it fun when one of you guys use that feature. It's always nice seeing you guys' beautiful faces and talk. But you also don't have to come on. You guys can shut off your camera too. That's also an option if you don't want to face docs. I get that if you don't want to do that. You can just be a voice. So, but yeah, with that, pop in, hang out with us. But yeah, let's also follow me on Twitter at TowerGangJose, and follow Austin as well, and tag us, because if you see content you want us to cover on these morning shows, because we rely on you guys a lot. That Pussycat doll was from Rage Child. So I mean, you guys make this show. So you guys show up, so you support in that way, and then also you guys essentially give us content to cover. But with that, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. Love you all, deuces. We will see you tonight at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. We also see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern with another morning dump, barring some craziness. Because as you guys know, it's like a 5 to 7 day a week show. So not every day we'll give it to you, but for the most part, you can pretty much pop in here and assume there's going to be a morning dump at 10 a.m. Eastern. Damn near every day. And with that, we're out of here, bud. I'll see you tonight. Deuces, everybody. I love you all.